He promised you he would heal you, he will fulfill it. If he promised you that he was going to make a way out of no way, he will fulfill it. If he promised you that he will be with you even until the end of the earth, there will not be a day that he will not be with you. The truth is, you're in a waiting season, not a stuck season.
At Long Branch, we are saving souls and solving problems.
Because it's time to celebrate. Look at somebody and tell them it's time to celebrate.
Hello, everyone. May God bless each one of you, and thank you so much for tuning in on today. I'm Pastor Sean Dogan, pastor of the Long Branch Baptist Church, and I am always delighted that you will come and join us each and every Wednesday in order that we may share together, in order that we may grow together, but most of all, in order that we may care and take care of our church and community together. I want to thank each one of you for joining us today, and please share this broadcast with others. Long Branch, I want to remind you of just a couple of things, and before we get started with our video presentation on today. The first thing is that this coming Saturday, we have intercessory prayer at 8 a.m., and don't forget to bring your journals with you. And then after that, we'll have our leadership meeting at 9:15. And then we will prepare for Sunday morning. This is first Sunday of March coming up. And we want to remind you that we have all three services that we will be worshiping our God. Our 7:45, 9:45, and 11:45. And then Long Branch will be going to support the performing arts this coming Sunday as well. 4 p.m. at the Simpsonville Art Theater, we will see the play, The Last Supper. I hope that you purchase your tickets. If you need to purchase your tickets, you'll have one more opportunity to do so this coming Sunday. So please do that. As you know, this month we are celebrating not only Black history, but we are celebrating prophetic voices of our history in order to prepare us for our future. On tonight, we have a wonderful prophetic voice in the personality of Miss Fannie Lou Hamer. And I hope that her words will inspire you, her life will inspire you, but most of all, her being active in her community over the issues of that day and even the issues of the day. And I hope that you will be inspired. I've been inspired by her life, her legacy, but most of all, I've been inspired by her call to action to make sure that your voice is heard in every arena possible. So may the Lord bless you. You know what I'm going to say. Thank you for supporting our ministry. Thank you for all that you do. I'm Impact, you're Impact, but we're better together. I love you. First Lady Satriva loves you. Ramaya loves you. Even Chip loves you. God bless you.
We've been down so long, we ain't got no other way to go but up.
An icon of civil rights history tells her own story in words and song.
I question America. Is this America? The land of the free and the home of the brave. If I hate you because you hate me, I'm no better than you are.
Fannie Lou Hamer's America. The following program contains mature content, including racial epithets used in historical context and descriptions of violence. Viewer discretion is advised.
The whole world is watching us today.
I am an old pilgrim of sorrow.
We are tired of a lot of things. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired. I feel better than I felt in a long time. Cause all of these people here, we got to do something. And we've been down so long, we ain't got no other way to go but up. It was 40 million of my people destroyed as they was bringing my ancestors here on the slave ships of Africa. I can forgive easily for a lot of things, but when white America taken my name, that was a crime. My name is Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer.
I'm Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer.
One day you'll be proud when you can say Senator Fannie Lou Hamer, because I'm on my way, baby. Freedom is not something that's put in your lap. You got to stand up. I've been beaten in jail till my body was hard as metal, but I'm not stopping.
The flag is drenched with our blood. Because you see, we have never accepted slavery. They know what they've done to us. All across this country, they know what they've done to us.
I question America. Is this America, the land of the free and the home of the brave?
When and where were you born?
I was born 1917 in Montgomery County, October 6th.
You born on plantation?
I guess I was.
You remember the name of the plantation?
No, I don't. I know my parents moved from Montgomery County when I was 2 years old, and they moved to Sunflower County.
Going to the plantation then?
Yes, my parents moved on a plantation. When I was 2, they moved with a landowner about 4 miles and a half from here, Mr. W. Brandon's plantation. And that's where my father and my mother worked as sharecroppers quite a long time.
Sheep pie, where your little lamb? Way down in the valley. Birds and the butterflies picking at his eye. And the poor little thing, he cried, Mama, Mama's gone, Papa's gone. They shall bring some horses, white and black, speckle and gray, all them pretty little horses. When you wake, you'll eat a pancake and ride a pretty little pony. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, a little baby. Mama run away, Papa wouldn't stay, left nobody but the baby. Go to sleep.
We are tired. We are sick and tired of children suffering from malnutrition. People dying
The clothes 2/3 of the people have on here now is clothes was been sent to them. We are tired of that. We are tired of a lot of things. We are tired of working for $3 measly a day, going home and being too tired to cook what little we did have. Because we have been hungry. We have been taught to have dignity and respect. And you know, if we are going through being bit by dogs, some of them being shot down, some of them being beat in jail, we are not fighting back, but we going on because there's nothing right here. What other nation have gone through what we've gone through? You've never heard of no other race but a Negro that marched through a mob crew just to go to school. Why? We work all time and never have enough food. I said, but the white man be riding around in fine cars. I said, and they have plenty to eat. But I didn't realize at the time he was stealing it from me. Being one of 20 children, a very poor family, sharecroppers in the state of Mississippi, I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to be without clothes. I know what it's like to be without food, to live in a 3-room house with no washroom facilities, just a 3-room shack. So in my earliest childhood, I remember one day I was playing beside this road and the landowner drove up and he asked me, could I pick cotton? And I told him I didn't know. I didn't know. At 6 years old, I just didn't know. So he told me, I want you to go out in the field, Fanny, and I want you to pick 30 pounds of cotton. And if you pick 30 pounds of cotton in a week, I'll carry you to my commissary store and I'll let you get some of the things that you want to eat. So don't you like Cracker Jack? That was exciting because I'd never had them. So I went out in the field and I told my parent, and my mother asked me did I want to try it. And I told her I did. And she told me, said, now, we won't let you cheat. If you pick it, we'll say you picked it. But if you don't pick it, you don't get it. So this made me work very hard. But that week I did pick 30 pounds of cotton. That Saturday, the landowner did keep his promise. He carried me to this commissary store. He gave me some Cracker Jacks and cheese and the daddy wide leg sardines. But I didn't realize what he was doing other than that, because the next week I was tasked 60 pounds of cotton. By the time I was 13 years old, I was picking 200 and 300 pounds of cotton.
I am 17 years old. I pick 300 pounds of cotton a day.
I am 9 years old. I help my mother pick cotton. I pick 100 by day.
I am 14 years old. And I help my mother pick cotton. I can pick about 200 a day.
Now, at first, I really couldn't understand what it was that made us never have enough food. We worked all the time, but we never had enough to eat. We never had a chance to go to school. So my first reaction to my parent, especially to my mother, was to raise the question to her and ask her, how come we wasn't white? Now that was my first really being told off and read off at the same time. Because my mother told me, Said, child, you don't understand what I'm saying now, but as you get older, you'll understand. There's nothing wrong with you being black. And I don't want you to forget that. Said if God had wanted you to be another color, you would have been another color. Said don't be ashamed of being black. And respect yourself as a child. And as you get older, respect yourself as a black woman. You might not understand what I'm saying now, but one day you will understand. Then finally my mother bought me the first black doll I had ever seen. But the only doll that she ever bought me was a black doll. And what my mother was doing, I couldn't understand it then, but I understand now. She was at that time teaching me to respect myself. My mother's mother had 23 children, 20 boys and 3 girls. She was a slave.
And we know, as well as you know, that this country was built on the blood and the sweat of black people. And all we are saying to you today, now what you have done in the past, you've done that. But we can't let you get away with just trying to wipe us out as human beings.
When I was about 13, I began to understand what my mother was talking about. And I prayed to God to give me the chance. And I told him if he would just let me live to get grown, I would get out in the streets and on the turn roads. And I would devote my life for seeing that things would be different for any poor person in the state of Mississippi. We have always been taught that we had to suffer as Christ suffered. But I think in terms of what David had to do, David was a shepherd boy, but it did come in a time in his life he had to slay Goliath.
Jump down, turn around, pick a bale of cotton. Jump down, turn around, pick a bale of day. Oh Lord, I'll pick a bale of cotton. Oh Lord, pick a bale of day. Jump down, turn around and pick a bale of cotton. Jump down, turn around and pick a bale of day. Jump down, turn around and pick a bale of cotton. Jump down, turn around and pick a bale of day. Oh Lord, pick a bale of cotton. Oh Lord, pick a bale of day.
So in 1962, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee came into Roosevelt. That Monday night, I went over here, right around the corner here, to this church, William Chapel. And the pastor announced at the end of service that there would be a mass meeting that night, that Monday night. My husband drove me from out in the rural area where I had been working to the church. And when we got there, Bob Moses, Lance Guillot, Reggie Robinson, James Bevel, Jim Foreman from SNCC got up and explained how it was our constitutional right to register and vote, and how it could change, the different laws. Like if we didn't want a law in the town or what was going on, we could vote them out. So I thought it was the most remarkable thing that could happen in the state of Mississippi. I'd never heard until 1962 that black people could register and vote. I'd never even heard that was in the Constitution.
We go in and live with people, live in their homes, try to get them to the point where they lose some of their fears. We have to cut across generational fear.
I went to a SNCC conference in Nashville, Tennessee in November 1962. And the first time I had a chance to just sit next to a white person, I've never been that nervous in my life. SNCC is the type of people, they call them far left, radicals, beatniks, and all of this kind of thing. But they still is willing to go into areas. They work with the people that's poor, they work with the people that never had a chance to be treated as a human being. And if it's necessary, some have already done that, has given their lives for the cause of human justice. We would go to places to go in to do voter registration, and we'd talk to people, and we would tell them we was coming back the next day, and by the next day somebody would be done got to them, and they would want to talk with us. We would be harassed, and we know cars would be passing the house loaded with white men, and trucks would be passing there with guns hanging up in the back. Well, it was rough. Year after year, things looked like got worse and worse. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee helped to build confidence in people that they was just about to lose all hope, and that's the truth.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Citizens Council Forum. It's our very real pleasure to welcome back to our microphone today former Governor Ross Barnett of Mississippi.
Dick, it's been my pleasure to participate in your program several times, and I'd like to say that it's been my privilege to travel throughout the length and breadth of America during the last few years. One thing that has impressed itself upon me throughout my travels, and that is how similar the people of this great nation really are. No matter where they happen to live, they're all about the same.
I know that you were asked about the state of race relations in Mississippi at the present time. What was your answer to that question?
Well, they always ask that question about race relations, and I told them in substance that until all the communist-inspired agitation began, Mississippi actually enjoyed the best race relations of any other state in the nation. I told them that our white and colored citizens knew one another as individuals, and that they cared about one another as individuals. And despite all of the efforts to create ill will and hatred, that I honestly believe that on a person-to-person basis, that the people of Mississippi still have the most cordial race relations in the nation. And I told them that we are all going to try to keep it that way, both the white and the black. I told them that our voting qualification laws are sound, and they are, that they have been upheld by the federal courts time and time again, and there's no question about that. I told them that our registration officials understand that these laws must be administered fairly, with no one placed under any undue burden, that all are to be treated alike. I told them that the record would show no proof whatsoever that any qualified applicant in Mississippi has ever been actually denied registration because of his color or his race or national origin. But whatever mistakes have been made, or if any have been made, probably were errors of judgment by part-time registrars. To put it in simple language, it is not that some qualified have been denied the right to vote. It is probably a matter of some perhaps unqualified white applicants who have been registered to vote.
I'll begin from the first beginning, August the 31st in 1962, that I traveled 26 miles to the county courthouse to try to register to become a first-class citizen. I was met by my children when I returned from the courthouse, and my girl and my husband's cousin told me that this man that we had worked for was raising a lot of cane. And about that time, the man walked up, Mr. Marlowe, and he said, "Is Fannie Lou back yet?" So my husband said, "She is." I walked out of the house at this time. He said, "Fannie Lou said, you've been to the courthouse to try to register, and we are not ready for this in Mississippi." I said, "Well, I didn't register for you. I tried to register for myself." He said, "We are not going to have this in Mississippi, and you will have to go down and withdraw." And he said, I'm looking for your answer, yay or nay. So I just looked. And he said, I'll give you to in the morning. And said, if you don't go down and withdraw, you will have to leave. And if you do go down and withdraw, it's only how I feel. You still might have to go. So I left that same night. 10 days later, on the 10th of September, 16 bullets was fired into the home of Mr. and Mrs. Robert Tucker, the people that I had gone to live with.
I don't find that there is any great deal of intimidation. I'm sure that there is some intimidation, and I'm sure that that intimidation does exist in every state of the American Union.
My name is Charles McLaurin. I worked in voter registration in Sunflower County. On January 25th, 1963, I went to the mayor's office in Indianola, Mississippi. The purpose was to see if there were any laws on the book that forbidded voter registration activities in the city. The mayor jumped from his seat and said, "You black son of a bitch, don't you come in here arguing at me." I told him that we were there to do voter registration, and that if there were any laws that forbidded it, to let me know. And he said no. I turned to walk away, and he called me back, said, "Go out and teach everybody in the town. I don't care. But if you go into any churches, I will cut off the tax exemption."
For instance, you had some 28 to 30,000 qualified in the state to participate in the last campaign for Congress, which took place just a few weeks ago. And of that 25 or 30,000 that could have participated, there were only about 4,500 votes that were cast. The trouble is that the just like the white man, was not interested.
My name is Jesse Harris, and I participate in voter registration in the Mississippi Delta. It was during 1962. I was arrested in Jackson for contempt of court and fined $100 fine and 30 days in Hinds County Farm. The first time I was beaten was in Hinds County on the elevator when the officer asked me my name and where I was from, and I told him I was from Jackson. And so he beat me and he hit me side the head in the back and things. The second time I was beaten on the Hinds County Farm because he asked me where I was from also, and I told him Jackson, and he said, "Are you one of those Freedom Riders?" And I told him I didn't know what it was, so he beat me.
We are not going to tolerate any group from the outside of Mississippi or from the inside of Mississippi to take the law into their own hands. We are going to see to it that law and order is maintained, and maintained Mississippi style.
If I hate you because you hate me, I'm no better than you are. And all we want to do is to make these people understand that we are human beings and we can work together in this country, and to have a democracy, that's what we're gonna have to do. And I think about the turmoil and the things that's going on across the country, and it carries me a long way back. It carried me back to the early 60s when a young man living in a place called Liberty, Mississippi, his name was Herbert Lee. He had 9 children. He was shot down by a state representative. It carries me back to 61, the time when Reverend Lee at Belzona was on his way home and was shot going in his driveway. It brings me up unto other people that have been killed. And it brings me then to 1963, when I was arrested in Winona, Mississippi. I had been to a voter registration workshop, they were just training and teaching us how to register, to pass the literacy test. And it was giving us enough training that we could tell other people, you know, how to pass the literacy test. We finished the workshop, and then we got the Continental Trailway bus to come back to Mississippi. And we got to Winona, Mississippi, I would say about 10:30 that Sunday morning. And 4 people got off of the bus, you know, to use the restaurant to get food, and 2 people got off, used the washroom while I was still on the bus. When I looked through the glass, I saw the people rush out, and I stepped off to see what had happened. And Miss Ponder told me that it was a state highway patrolman and a chief of police on the inside, and began to tap them on the shoulders with billy clubs and ordered them to get out. And I said, well, this is Mississippi. I saw them when they began to put the 5 people, what was, you know, off the bus, began to put them in the highway patrolman's car. And she said, get back on the bus, Miss Hamer. And then I heard somebody scream from the car that she was in and said, get that one there. And then a white man stepped out of a car and told me I was under arrest. And when he opened the door and I went to get in the car, he kicked me, and they carried me on down to the county jail. Then when I walked in with the 2 white men that had carried me down, and they cursed me all the way down, they would ask me questions, and when I would try to answer, they would tell me to hush. And I was put in a cell with Miss Yvesta Simpson. And after I was put in this cell, I could just hear some horrible screams, and I would hear somebody when they say, can't you say yes, sir, nigger? Can't you say yes, sir? And they would call her names that I wouldn't want to go on tape. And she said, yes, I can say yes, sir. So I said, and she said, I don't know you well enough. And I would hear when she would hit the floor again. And finally she began to pray, and she asked God to have mercy on these people because they didn't know what they was doing. And after a while they passed my cell door with this young woman, Miss Annelle Ponder. And one of her eyes looked like blood, and her hair was standing up on her head, and her clothes had been torn. And then 3 white men came to my cell, and one of them was a state highway patrolman, and he asked me where I was from, and I told him I was from Rouville, and I guess he called Rouville. And they didn't like me in Rouville because I worked with voter registration there. And when he came back, he said, you damn right, they said, you're from Rouville, all right, and we gonna make you wish you was dead. And they led me out of that cell into another cell, and he gave a Negro prisoner a blackjack, and he ordered me to lay down on a bunk bed. And a Negro prisoner said, do you want me to beat her with this, sir? And he said, you're damn right, because if you don't, you know what I'll do for you. And I laid down on the bunk like he ordered me to do. And the first Negro beat me. He beat me until he was exhausted. And after he beat, the state highway patrolman ordered the second Negro to take the blackjack. And during the time he was beating, I began to work my feet because that was a horrible experience. And the state highway patrolman ordered the first Negro that had beat to sit on my feet while the second one beat. And I just began to scream where I couldn't control it. And then the white man got up and began to beat me in my head. I have a blood clot now in the artery to the left eye and a permanent kidney injury on the right side from that beat. At that time, you know, I was out on the road most of the time. They want me to come from place to speak. Voter registration and trying to get more people involved. And that's what we worked on mostly that whole summer. All that SNCC is trying to do, and the young people that came into Mississippi from the 1964 project, all they are trying to do is to say these are human beings and they're supposed to be treated like anybody else.
Most likely a cop won't try to chunk you in here, but
The white people in the movement, especially the young people, is just as dedicated It just is pure in wanting a change for all human beings. And I just have faith not only in the young Negroes, but in the young whites that will be working in the South, in fact, all over the country to bring a change in the United States.
And I'm just wondering if people in this room understand, one, that people should be expected to get beaten, they should expect to spend in jail, and that they should expect possibly somebody to get killed.
I also know it was people like Andy Goodman, Michael Swan, and James Chan that gave their lives in the state of Mississippi, that all of us would have a better chance. And when they died there, they didn't just die for me, but they died for you, because your freedom is shackled and chained to mine. And until I'm free, you are not free either.
We have organized into the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, encouraging every Negro and white who wants a stake in his political future to prove it by getting his name on a freedom registration book.
The reason we have a Mississippi Freedom Democrat Party, we wasn't allowed to participate with the regular Democratic Party in Mississippi. When we went to visit the precinct meeting in Rooseville, it was 8 of us, 8 Negroes, and we went up to this polling place where they would hold precinct meetings, and they had this place closed. It was locked up, so we stood at the nearest place, which was right down by the steps on the lawn, and we held our own precinct meeting. We elected our chairman, our secretary, our delegates, and our alternates, and we passed a loyalty resolution, and we moved from the precinct level up to the state. Then on the 24th of April, 24th or 6th of April, 1964, the Mississippi Freedom Democrat Party was organized at the Masonic Temple in Jackson, Mississippi.
The Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party is only beginning, and it is beginning on the basis that it believes that a political party should be open to all the people who wish to subscribe to its principles. That means it's open to even the son of the planter on whose plantation you work, if that son has reached the point that he's willing to subscribe to your principles.
And there's some people in this room here that was in Atlantic City with us when the delegation went from Mississippi to challenge the seating of the regular delegation at that convention in Atlantic City.
On Monday, the 1964 Democratic National Convention will open here in Atlantic City to nominate President Lyndon B. Johnson.
We believe that we will be seated in this convention because it is right. When you tell the truth, you don't have anything to hide.
The seating of the delegation from the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party has political and moral significance far beyond the borders of Mississippi or the halls of this convention.
It is the very terror that these people are living through that is the reason that Negroes aren't voting, that they're kept out of the Democratic Party by the terror of the regular party. And what I want the Credentials Committee to hear is the terror which the regular party uses on the people of Mississippi, which is what Reverend King was explaining, which is what Aaron Henry was explaining, and which is what the next witness will explain, Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer.
Mr. Chairman, and to the Credentials Committee, my name is Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer, and I live at 626 East Lafayette Street, Rooseville, Mississippi. Sunflower County, the home of Senator James O. Eastland and Senator Stinney. All of this is on account of we want to register to become first-class citizens. And if the Freedom Democratic Party is not seated now, I question America. Is this America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, where we have to sleep with our telephones off of the hook because our lives be threatened daily, because we want to live as decent human beings in America? Thank you.
They offered us 2 seats at large. We refused to accept a compromise. I told them in Atlantic City, if something's supposed to have been mine 100 years, don't offer me 2 of it today. No, don't give me a bite of what I supposed to have the whole thing 100 years. If you don't give me all of it, just keep the 2. Then 3 of us decided to run for Congress. Ms. Annie Devine, Victoria Gray, and myself. When we tried to get on the ballot, they refused to put our names on the ballot. But our names was put on a freedom ballot because we made our own ballot. And we didn't just write the black people's name on the ballot, we included the white people on the ballot. And I received 33,009 votes against my opponent's 49 votes. And I didn't say 49,000. So this made us, the 4th of January, 1965, come to Washington. We had made the challenge at the convention for the delegation. Then 1965, we were making the challenge for the 5 representative seat.
Here they come, followers of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. They've been here at the House of Representatives all day long. Morning. They are all now under arrest, charged with unlawful occupancy of a public building.
The police officials there at the House, you would have thought we was carrying secret information from the United States to Russia, the way they, acted as though we was carrying a bomb or something. The congressman from my district didn't say anything, but the others said enough, they couldn't even prove to the cell they was telling the truth. They said they represented the people of Mississippi, and 42% of the people we know as well as they know can't register and vote. And that's why I had to tell the congressmen there and the chairman and the committees that it's now time for America to wake up.
Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer hails from Ruleville, Mississippi in Sunflower County, and she has a gift for earthy and vivid phrases and for stating her views without formality, cant, or hypocrisy.
Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer.
Will you welcome, please, Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer.
Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer, the spark plug of the Mississippi Freedom Party and a candidate for political office in her hometown.
But all we was asking for was new and free elections to give all the people a chance to vote in Mississippi, that they could choose the people that was going to represent them and determine their destiny. When they had the hearing before the subcommittee on election, they said, well, we won't say you're not right, but if we let you get away with this, they'll be doing it all over the South. I said, well, if all over the South need it, throw them out. Congressman Adam Clayton Powell said, if you go on the floor today, you'll be the first Negro women in the history of the United States that have ever gone on the floor of Congress. And I said, you can get your pen and start writing because we're going to make history today. Because we want to see, I want to be on the floor of Congress when I watch another part of democracy go down the drain.
And regardless of all the things that we went through, in 1963 or 1964, we didn't have many people registered in Mississippi. But today we have 60% of the black population registered in Mississippi. We have 42 elected officials in the state of Mississippi. And one day you will be proud when you can say, Senator Fannie Lou Hamer, because I'm on my way, baby. Our top priority is doing what we have to do here in our own country to try to heal some of the wounds that's so very deep. And we're going to fight for peace. We're going to demand peace until every one of us have peace in this United States.
On the shore, I'm gonna land on the shore. I'm gonna land on the shore where I'll rest forevermore. The preacher in the pulpit with a Bible in his hand, he's preaching to the sinners, but they just won't understand. I'm gonna land on the shore. I'm gonna land.
The whole hope in the future of this country, if it's not too late already, is with the people, what some people call the militant, the radical, or whatever you call them, black and white throughout the country at these college campuses. They are very true, they are very honest, and all they want is the thing that they've been reading about is to become a reality. And for this country to have democracy in action, it's going to come through these young people.
I've been very concerned with young black people in Mississippi, and there's no need of getting an education, running to some other place. Fight and make it right here. I'd take a chance in Mississippi quicker than I would Chicago, because we at least know where we are here. But they got some of the same hypocrites up there. It's just like these white racists down here. And that's when we have to do our thing right in Mississippi.
And you see, a lot of these young people hadn't been exposed to what it's really like. You know, some of them had been in school, just came out of school, and, you know, they said, well, we believe that this will work or that will work, only to be faced with all of these things somehow have looked like backfired in their face.
We have been black, powerless people for 400 years. I've seen people boxed in, black children, in Harlem of New York. I've seen people boxed in, black people, in Chicago, Illinois, in the slums, with the babies sick, rats eating on the babies. So what we mean by black power is we mean to have not only black political power, but black economic power, to have a voice in the educational system, that our kids will know, not only the black kids, but the white kids should know the kind of contribution that have been made by black people throughout this country. We want to determine some of our destiny. And this is what black power means. We want to have something to say about our destiny.
We want black power. We want black power.
You see, and I'm really fed up in hearing the word compromise. I've got to get just a little taste of what I suppose had every bit of it 100 years ago.
White people are trying to resection you where you won't have as much power, you know.
Well, one night I went to bed and didn't turn over, and I woke up in another district, but we still a majority. We have to go to court whenever it's necessary.
I didn't come to Washington to hear no bills being legislated that they would feed me in 1972. What in the world is going on between 1972? I'm thinking about what you gonna do for my people in December. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired. For so many years, Negroes have suffered in the state of Mississippi. And we are tired of people saying that we are satisfied because we are everything but satisfied.
A person that was born in the middle class that have never had to suffer, you know, he can afford to take things maybe easier than I can, and all I've ever done was suffer. A person that's born in the middle class and have always had things somewhat decent, he can't make a decision for me because he actually don't know how I feel. I never will forget, Mr. Wilkins came to me one day from the NAACP that I found out at that national convention was the National Association for the Advancement of Certain People, but it didn't include us in Mississippi. And he came to me and told me, he said, you people are ignorant, you don't know anything about politics. You put your perm over, why don't you pack up and go home?
And we got to let people know how we feel. We are not satisfied because we know.
In the 4th chapter of St. Luke in the 18th verse said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. It was his purpose here, was preaching and speaking to the poor. So mostly what the middle class, bourgeois, white and black, because I've seen white Toms, Negro Toms, they concerned about the person that's already got something. They're not trying to bring no change for these people don't have anything, you know. If they go into an area, they're going into the best part of the neighborhood. They're going to get with the best type of people. And you see, that's the hypocrisy of this whole country. Mississippi is still a very rough place. You know, people is not just walking up like they used to do in the past, walking out, you know, shooting a man down or getting maybe 200 or 300 people carrying you out and lynching you, but it's in a most settled way. You know, they can let you starve to death, not give you jobs. These are some of the things that's happening right now in Mississippi. People in Mississippi are still hungry. People in Mississippi are still living in run-down, dilapidated shacks. You see, you will have to have experienced it to know what it's about. Because my daughter, that's 17, stayed in the hospital one time, 6 weeks suffering from malnutrition. And it's not because we are lazy. It's not because we hadn't worked hard, but it's because we've never been paid for our work. We're fighting for the rights of all human beings, and we're going about the thing in a very good way, because we know if you give us food, we can eat a few days. But if you give us the tools, we'll produce for ourselves. I just don't want people to have to give me and my people a welfare check. I want some land. We've been able to help a lot of people. We grow our own vegetables, you know, like butter beans, peas, okra, potatoes, peanuts, started this pig bank program. The plan of the thing is that it can grow to produce enough that people just won't know what hunger is. Freedom Farms Cooperation is one of the best things that ever happened in Sunflower County. For the first time in our lives, we will have a chance to control some of our destiny. I don't be ashamed when somebody come here and I can go in the kitchen and fry some ham and open some soup and have some vegetables. Once you have been hungry and had to stay hungry, when you see them that's suffering, you want to change it for them too.
She had the inability to say no to people who were in need. And what had happened was typical of Fannie Lou. Sometime when there were money to make the payments on the farm, if someone came who needed money to make a payment on a house or to buy food or for utilities or for whatever, Fannie Lou would let them have it.
I've heard of a city called heaven.
And so help me, God, the cry of hunger is the cry of hunger, whether it comes from black, white, brown, or red.
Today, I'm not ashamed of being black. I'm not ashamed of my history.
That was 1962. Nobody knew that I exist. Nobody. And I hadn't heard of them either. And then one day, the 31st of August, I walked out off the plantation. And from that time up until now, I met a lot of people. I met a lot of great people, both blacks and white, people that we have walked together, talked together, we've cried together. It's been very interesting to me.
There's some good people in this country. That's what gives me strength to keep going. Just like somewhere in Mississippi, whether he's afraid to speak out or not, somebody here is good. Some of these white people. And one day they'll speak out. And until that time, I have to fight until he gets the nerve to say, we're gonna fight together.
Run, run, Mona, run, bright angel above. Run, Mona, run, bright angel above. If I just had your wing, bright angel above. If I just had your wing, bright angels above. I'd fly away to the kingdom, bright angel above. It'd fly away to the kingdom, bright angels above. Angel, lend me your wing, bright angels above. Angel, lend me your wing, bright angels above. Escape for your life, bright angel above. Escape for your life, bright angels above. If I just had your wing, bright angels above. If I just had your wing, bright angels above. I'd fly away to the kingdom, bright angel above. I'd fly away to the kingdom, bright angel.
She knew life. She had lived it. She had experienced things that many of us could never think of facing. And yet, she could smile, she could shout, she could make other people happy, and she, if necessary, she could cuss them out.
She wasn't afraid. Ms. Hamer talked and told it like it was, and everybody found out how people was being treated here in this Delta land.
Oliver Wendell Holmes once wrote that as life is action and passion, it is required of men and women to share the action and passion of their times at the risk of being judged not to have lived. By Holmes's standard, Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer truly lived and leaves to us today an irrevocable legacy of service, of commitment, of sacrifice, and of love.
It's hard for me to stand up and sing the national anthem. I stand up and I work my mouth, but I don't always come through with the verses. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail? Because actually the land of the free and the home of the brave have meant the land of the tree and the home of the grave for so many of us. See, Mississippi is not actually Mississippi's problem. Mississippi is America's problem. Because if America wanted to do something about what has been going on in Mississippi, it could have stopped by now. You see, the flag is
is drenched with our blood. Because you see, so many of our ancestors was killed because we have never accepted slavery. We had to live on it, but we've never wanted it. So we know that this flag is drenched with our blood. So what the young people are saying now, give us a chance to be young men, respected as a man. As we know, this country was built on the black backs of black people across this country. And if we don't have it, you ain't gonna have it either, because we gonna tear it up. That's what they saying. And people ought to understand that. I don't see why they don't understand that. They know what they've done to us. All across this country, they know what they've done to us.
Way in the water, way in the water.
We are not dealing with men today. The 6th chapter of Ephesians and 11th and 12th verse, they put on the whole armor of God, that he may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. The 12th verse says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against power, against principalities, against the rulers of darkness of this world, spiritual weakness in high places. And people, whether you believe it or not, you better remember this today. A house divided against itself cannot stand. A nation that's divided against itself cannot stand. And it's 2 past midnight, and we on our way out.